Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Welcome back to Listen Up with Phil and Ryan. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this lovely Friday. And today we're going to talk about Team USA basketball as they prepare, talk about the roster, and get into a little bit more Caitlyn Clark talk because why not? She's the seems like the hot topic nowadays. But before we get in, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We always love to read all of your guys' comments. And as always, thank you guys as always for the continued support, especially during this very long off season. So let's go ahead and get into this Team USA basketball, specifically talking about the three former UConn Huskies that made the roster. First, of course, Diana Taurasi making her sixth straight appearance on this Olympic roster. Her previous five appearances have all resulted in gold medal wins, as Team USA have won seven straight gold medals at these Olympic Games. Taurasi has already made history playing in the most Olympic Games, 38 in team history, and she actually has a chance to make more history in this year's games, becoming the all-time leading scorer for Team USA, as she only trails Lisa Leslie by 74 points. The second former Husky making the roster, Breanna Stewart, Stewie, will be making her third straight appearance. And last but not least, the most recent former Husky, Napheesa Collier, will make her second straight appearance. So Team USA has just a little over a month to prepare for group play against Japan, Belgium, and Germany. But before that, they will play in the WNBA All-Star game and face the WNBA All-Stars, which is going to be pretty interesting, I think, because of all this talk about how Caitlyn Clark should have made the stacked USA team. So maybe she can get her revenge during that game, assuming she's in the All-Star game. But I really don't think Caitlyn is really the type of person to care about that stuff and getting revenge. But for me personally, I really think the media is trying to big up and make a big deal out of this whole Caitlyn Clark situation, her not making the team and all that stuff. But the way I look at it is, who are you going to replace on that USA roster? All 12 of those women deserve to be on the roster, stacked with veterans all the way up and down. The youngest player on the team is Collier. She's only 27 years old. I realized Caitlyn Clark was phenomenal in college. She's known worldwide, big part in why the viewership has gone up the way it has in college and now in the WNBA. But to me, she just hasn't quite earned a spot on the roster. She's only played 13 games to this date, or it might be 14 now. But either way, she just doesn't have the accolades yet and the records or experience in the WNBA yet, especially compared to all these other 12 women on the roster right now.
Okay, you can't hear me, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Um, just to touch on it lightly, and then we'll get into comments. You want my take very quickly. I'm going to ask you again what you think on some other topics. You pretty much touched on everything. I appreciate it, but I don't know. I mean, you said it right. The USA Basketball, the tweet or formerly Twitter, now X, it says the next chapter in the greatest dynasty ever. You said it right. I heard the media talk about who are you going to leave off of the roster if you put Caitlyn Clark on there, and that's a good point. Now, I'm not saying that Caitlyn Clark does not deserve a spot on the roster, but I think you even said it earlier in the week, and you said it now. With her being a rookie, still a lot of learning to do, a lot of she can even get better. I think she can in the
Yeah.
WNBA. I mean, we saw what she had in college. But now, like you said, this is the WNBA, Phil. You told me that. So I think that, I don't know, to be honest with you. I think, obviously, eventually, I think she's going to make it. But yeah, as of right now, I think that you said it right. Who are you going to take off of this roster? Not only that, what do you speak in terms of the people that we heard this past week talking about? Well, Caitlyn Clark, she should have been on the roster because of, all of her what she did for women's basketball. She turned it around for the better. It's a more popular WNBA. It's a more popular NCAA women's league now. To me, that has nothing to do with tying your shoes up, putting your jersey on, and going out there on the floor. That has, I
No.
mean, if you know it is, and again, no disrespect, but I think you know where I'm coming from. Hopefully, out of all people, at least you hope. I'm hoping and crossing my fingers right now. It's just to me personally, it does not make sense where people tie, stuff off for the court. Great, she inspired these kids. She did this and that. Great, that's good. That's what we want. But I don't see where that mixes in with how you perform on the floor. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, as many great things as she accomplished during her 4 years at Iowa, to me, it just doesn't really translate, or it hasn't translated to the professional in the W yet, which is perfectly fine because, like I said, she's only played a little over a dozen games in her career so far. So I think she has a lot of room to improve in the WNBA. Already had some great 30-point performances for Indiana, but to me, all of that, stuff that she did in college in terms of all the accolades, the records, that's kind of in the past now. Like you said, what she did, inspiring all these young kids and making people all around the world want to tune in and watch these women play is great. But for me as well, it doesn't really translate into making a Team USA roster, especially because she really doesn't have the experience in the WNBA yet. And I think she really has a long way to go in solidifying her professional career like she did in college.
Don't you? Let me tell you this, and you and everybody else think about it this way. Don't you think this will push her? This will even push her more? Because how
Yeah.
many times have you, anybody out there, how many times have you failed in life? All right. How many times have you succeeded in life? Ryan, as big as she is in the basketball world, right? I think that this is something that you and I and everybody else can look back on and say, man, it gives us, and Caitlyn Clark might be like, well, Phil, you're totally wrong, or anybody else. It's not so much about the talking and using her name as a force to be reckoned with in a negative way, but we always want to stay positive, like you said. How about this, Ryan? How about it gives us a more of a perspective leaving her off the roster than it does putting her on it. We've seen her succeed all through college. We're so used to this young lady. Yes, she's doing this, she's doing that. How about you see somebody for a change respond to adversity? I'm not saying that she's already been through, but adversity specifically in the sports world. I think it's, and again, how many people are going to have that courage, right? Like me right now to sit here and say, I think it's in a weirdly sort of way, a beautiful thing she got left off. Why not?
Yeah, and she really hasn't had that much adversity in college. I mean, she made the U17 USA roster, I believe, and she really hasn't been left off that many teams in her high school days. Coming up to college, of course, Iowa did lose that championship game to LSU. Came back last year, made it again, unfortunately or excuse me, lost the Final Four game to LSU, come back this past year, made it to the championship game, of course, and unfortunately unable to finish it off. But hopefully Caitlyn can kind of use that in a similar way now. Getting left off the roster, used as motivation, even though she has to wait 4 more years now until she can, be an Olympic player. Hopefully by then, she can accomplish a lot more than what she has in only 13 or 14 games, and make the next Olympic roster.
Look, man, and great comments again by everybody, Brian. I have to say that now. I'm looking at them now, but as many times as, again, people look at me like I'm, crazy. And hear me out, really, hear me out. I hope you and everybody else does. As many times as I say it, I know it just sounds just off the wall, just crazy, but it's a beautiful thing if she makes it on the roster, and it's beautiful if she doesn't. You can't. Why are we always? And you told me that. You asked me that. Why are we always just, you know, putting our glasses on and looking in that one way vision? You know what I mean? So Ryan,
Yeah.
beautiful thing if she did. Beautiful thing if she doesn't.
Yeah, and I think, I think everybody, kind of like we talked about in the last video about Caitlyn Clark, everybody feels like they have to pick a side, and one thing is right, one thing is wrong. And like you just said, I think both ways you can look at it as a positive in both scenarios.
All right. Again, thank you for covering this team roster, Ryan, the USA Basketball Women's National Team roster. And congratulations, aside from Clark, congratulations to all the ladies who did make it on there. And Ryan, how about they go get another gold? I think it's
Yeah.
a high possibility. I can't see anything else happening other than a gold. Number one is what we always talk about. Hey, that's that's the norm now for this UConn podcast. Number one, nothing changes in Gino's book. It's number one or nothing, right? All right, let's go over to Lindsay Matthews. I so much appreciate you two. I really enjoyed the news about what our team is doing now. Wow, they're on campus. Does that mean they got their rooms for the fall and the upcoming up year? The news about the injured ones coming back, especially Aubrey, my favorite. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to go along with that, Ryan, yeah, some people, they say, well, this doesn't matter much. This doesn't matter much. Well, I'm not to be rude here, but what do you want Ryan and I to do? Just sit on our lazy butts, right? And just not provide any content all off season? I mean, is that what they really want, Ryan?
Well, I would certainly hope not, but I do believe there's another open media access next week coming up, so we hopefully we can get some more news
Yeah.
during that media access next week during these summer workouts as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see the freshmen on campus, glad to see them practicing with the team during the summer. Can't wait to see upcoming freshmen. Chelly, Zabel, Strong. I think that all three of them are going to be fantastic players. Morgan Chelly, I saw her already leading the stretches, trying to be the leader and the voice already for these freshmen. So seeing a lot of great positive things during the summer so far. So like I said, it really the unofficial start to the new season. So something to get excited about.
Jason is back in the building. I wish I could observe a practice or two. As of now, I am hyper focused on the returning injured players. So much of this team's success depends on at least one of the big three coming back strong. But the pit in my stomach is telling me that I should keep my expectations in check. AZ is in the exact position Paige was last year. It is nothing less than an audition year for her. If she wants to be taken seriously as a WNBA prospect, she absolutely needs to play a full injury-free season with good numbers. Peace.
Yeah, I think obviously either way, Paige is gonna get drafted, but I think is she gonna be the number one overall pick? I think it's a pretty good possibility, but of course we'll have to see what happens this year, and just cross our fingers, hope and pray nothing else bad happens. But yeah, I just really hope that we can see Paige and Azia, especially those two on the court hopefully for the whole entire season this year. I think that'd be great to see. We haven't really been able to see it a lot, unfortunately, during the 3 years or 4 years. It's kind of hard to believe during 3 years we haven't really seen them play in that many games. But as well, I hope we can see Caroline back on the court too. I miss her, seeing her out there. Unfortunate she's had to be on the bench, it seems like a lot of these past 2 years. So hopefully we can see a lot of these injured players come back strong and healthy, better than before. And hopefully we can see them get a lot of minutes out on the court this season.
All right, just me said another great update. Phil and Rye, I appreciate your work and objective attitudes. Yeah, we appreciate you. Phil and Rye on Listen Up.